Good morning. We are here with Ní Riada, current SU Education Officer and the sole candidate for the role of SU President next year. So, good morning, Martha. How are you?
Good morning, I'm great.
We're going to start with questions on involvement and affiliations. So, are you a member of or connected to any political party?
I am a member of the political party. I'm a member of the Social Democrats.
And then we'll move on to qualifications. So, what experience do you have that qualifies you for the president?
Well, obviously, I'm the current education officer, which is it's useful to have experience on boards and committees. Also, I think a lot of the important work that president of Students' Union does behind the scenes with working, building relations with senior management within the university, and to be able to do that, you need to get to know them. And then I've been trying to do that this year, and I think I have some good relationships built with certain individuals within the university, which I think would be helpful when trying to lobby to get things changed next year.
Then we will just move on to questions about the Students' Union. What are three of the main issues UCD students are concerned about?
I think this isn't just particular to UCD students, but I think the massive one is accommodation at the moment. And then also tied into that is cost of living, all of that, including cost of commuting, all the massive issues, the cost of food on campus, all of those major things. And then I think a third issues societal issues, the rise in racist attacks across Dublin and the far right, and also that affects people intersectionally, that's a massive area I think that's affected. But it's not just affecting students, but students are people within the wider society.
Do you think this year has been good for engagement with the SU?
Yeah, I think it has. I think it's improved on last year, and that's all we can try to do each year. Class reps, we had nearly double what they had the year before last, and we have a lot of very engaged class reps and college officers and campaign coordinators in second or third year, and I think you can see that by the numbers running for college officer, which are very high and very strong this year. We've also had I think our events have been doing really well. We've had the first sold out on campus gig in years, and Kira's been doing great work this year. There's space to improve with everything, but I think the engagement has definitely been a lot stronger this year than in previous years, which is what we want. But definitely we can do better.
Okay.
Of course.
What are your plans to increase engagement with the union?
I think, to be honest, it's working on what we've done this year, and I think it's the simple things that are actually important, making sure that we have class reps in every constituency filled, trying to keep up with those numbers, because if we have more class reps, and also this year we introduced a volunteering system where you can volunteer to help out at events and different things like that, so that gets more people engaged, because it will say if you don't get elected as a class rep, it gives them another option to get involved with the union. And then if we have these people who are really involved with the union, they can go out and spread the word of the union. It sounds like a cult. And then also they can they'll let us know what's happening on the ground, what the issues are in different constituencies. But I think that's a major thing, is to ensure class reps are, that first of all we get them, but also that we value them, and that their role has a lot of purpose, and they can get really involved in the union when they are a part of the union. And then, I think another way of something that reaches out to everyone is events. And I think we want to keep pushing on events next year and have bigger and better events. With the UCD Ball coming up in a few weeks, which I think will hopefully be really successful. So hopefully build on that again next year. Well, fingers crossed. We'll see how it goes in a few weeks' time, but I think that's big events like that are another really important thing for engagement. Okay.
What is your stance on the referendum to rejoin USI?
This is going to be long-winded. No, I'll try to keep it short. So I think first of all, I really like that it's being put to students again. I think it's really important that students get another chance to vote on it. And I think to have a national union, it makes sense. If we're in a union, you should believe in the power of unity and the power of people. So obviously having a national body of students coming together makes sense. It makes sense to have that. But on the other hand, USI has had engagement issues. But we've also had engagement issues. Yeah. So like it's something that like students' unions across the country are struggling with. And like I think we should join USI, because if we're not in it, we can't change it, we can't make it better, we can't improve things. But I also understand why students don't want to join.
Talk me through your proposals to create a culture of consent on campus, and by what metric can the success of this goal be measured?
I think so. I kind of plan to do this through like the Dignity and Respect kind of support service. Like I was talking to just like some of the people in the service, and they are doing like environmental like impact reports, because like there's certain areas within the university, we'll say, that needs a lot, there's been a lot of complaints coming from. So they're going to try, so I'm going to try like work with Dignity and Respect next year to have like a joint kind of campaign, we'll say like targeting specific areas where needed, to try like increase the awareness around consent. But not, like it's going to be difficult to kind of measure that, but I think like because Dignity and Respect, they do like obviously they count how many people come into them, where they come, where the issues are coming from, but obviously not everyone's going to Dignity and Respect. There's a lot of people like kind of falling by the wayside still, but it's some sort of metrics. But like I'm not like, there won't be any drastic changes by the end of next year, but hopefully like in a few years time, if there's like a lot of work gone into like specific areas within the university, then those areas will get better and there won't be as many complaints hopefully coming from them, because students will kind of realise that it's not okay. They'll actually realise what consent is.
What specifically can the SU do to provide greater support for student societies, and what plans have you in place to achieve this goal?
This is something that I think at the moment the support structures for student societies are not great in UCD. Like there's a lot that I think could be changed, and it's something that like we've raised this year at kind of different areas. Like also it's even within like the complaints mechanism for student societies, like it's quite difficult for like a society to complain about things because they kind of seem to fall outside of the university structures. Well, they are, like I tried to get some kind of clarity on this, but like they are within the structures, but the structures don't really work in the way they should work. So it's very hard, like if something does go wrong in society, it's very hard for societies to change anything and to make complaints about anything at all, really. So then obviously if you can't complain about anything, you're not getting the right support because you can't change anything. So I think it's a difficult one to change and to do, because like I'm sure you know, like there's a lot of kind of politics involved with these things, but it is something that we've kind of already started working on, and hopefully we'll be able to like create like more kind of autonomy for societies and greater kind of space for them to do what they want while receiving the supports they can, but also to be able to make complaints about certain things that happen if they don't think they're up to scratch. But also kind of another way of like supporting societies, we want more collaborations, all that like good stuff. Like I think we've had some collaborations this year with societies, but I think when we do want to collaborate with a society, we need to kind of go to the society first and see what they want, rather than always coming with like, oh, this is an idea we have, this is something we want, do you want to like join in with us in it? We kind of need to also do the other way around. Like, oh, like what are you doing, how can we kind of join in with you and like support whatever you've going on? Because like societies often have the knowledge, they have like kind of years of experience, like the institutional kind of piece that like sometimes the union doesn't have, with like quite a lot of like changeover. And like these are the students that are really interested in whatever area their society's in, so like they kind of are the experts in it, so we should kind of go over to them and like lend, because like we have resources, we have full-time staff, like societies don't have that. And we work full-time, so it's something that I think we should be kind of trying to support societies with more. But I have a lot of ideas, but yeah, okay, that's all I'm going to say.
In your manifesto, you talk about collaborating with external organisations to renew the focus on cultural and creative events on campus. Have you been in touch with the Creative Futures Academy or Dún Laoghaire at Down County Council? in relation to these goals, and what specific proposals have you brought before them?
So I've been kind of chatting to a few of the people in the Creative Futures Academy kind of about like what can be done, because I think like UCD as an institution is lacking a lot of kind of like, there is really good like pockets of like creativity and culture, but in like in the like Dramstock Theatre or like in Astor Hall, was like musical song anyway, but like, you know, like yous do great things, but like then it's kind of, you have to know about it. It's kind of just like small pockets of the university, whereas I'd like the university itself to be like a lot more open and a lot more like culture and creativity like across the campus. And yeah, so I've been chatting to some of the people that work in the Creative Futures Academy, like the head of the Creative Futures, PJ Matthews. Anyway, and so yeah, I've been chatting to him and another woman, Tori, about kind of how we can like link up, because obviously they have a lot of experience as well, and like they kind of know the industry, and oftentimes that's something that like the SU struggles with, is we might know people in the industry, and I think especially like in arts you kind of need to know people in order to like do things well and to do things right. So we're hoping to in a few weeks' time to kind of do like a small little kind of creative showcase, kind of little pilot, like a kind of outdoor little thing, and then start planning over the summer to have something like in semester 1, which is a lot bigger, which gets like students, like we want students to be kind of leading it, and then we'd be able to like give them some money for like doing like a performance or whatever, and like creating like more like performances outdoors kind of across campus, so like trying to like get people, just some of the talent that we have here already, just to support them and to kind of like create some sense of like community within the campus, like a lunchtime like concert series like that, like those sort of ideas. And we're also thinking of having kind of some sort of like steering group, Creative Futures Academy, and like a few other kind of artistic groups within the university kind of coming together with the SU and trying to like create some sort of like, not like an events calendar, but like that sort of idea where it's like everything is kind of linked in the university, so everyone can support each other and people don't have like clashing events or things on at the same time, and we're not all trying to compete with each other, but we're trying to like uplift each other's like events and stuff that happens. Oh yeah, and then the Dunleary Rathdown Arts Council, that's something that through like Tori in the Creative Futures Academy, she was saying that they were always looking for people like to collaborate with, and because like obviously we're like in their constituency, like she said that like they'd definitely be someone that would like to get in touch with us, and obviously like they have resources that we mightn't have, and it creates, like, we're a massive area within their constituency, and Dunleary Rathdown County Council, lots of money. So I think it would be, and also they have a lot of contacts that we mightn't have as well. So I think it could be something where it's like us, Creative Futures Academy, and like the union kind of create like a collaborative kind of like some sort of like event or like concert or kind of like festival-y thing with them, and obviously through the union we'd try get a lot of like student performers and stuff to perform in this like kind of event, or potential a lot of different events, but I want to keep it like open and broad, just so that it can kind of like, I don't know, I don't perform, I don't do anything, so like whatever like the actual students that are performing, they can kind of decide what it is that they want to do with like these groups. But I think it just gives like an opportunity for students to kind of come together with these like really experienced people who can then support them, and also like we can pay students, which is good.
What realistically can the SU do if you're elected president to ease the effects of the cost of living crisis on students?
I think one thing that like we can do is get cheaper food options on campus. Like obviously all we control at the moment is like the SU shops, and we keep the prices of that as low as possible, but like they obviously still need to like break even, but like they try to keep everything as low as possible and like as affordable for students. But I think other, like we'll say like Centra and other like rights like all up in like the village, like a lot of that is very expensive, and UCD is they've gave them like the contract to be there, so like they still have some control over it. So I think that's an area where we kind of have space to like lobby UCD and estates to be like, look, you need to reduce the price of that, because grand inflation, things are expensive, that's fine, we understand that, but like the centre in the village is more expensive than any other centre in Dublin. Well, maybe not all centres in Dublin, haven't polled all of them, but like the SU shops are able to get the exact same things for a lot cheaper, so how is it way more expensive in centre? Like, okay, grand, it's up at the top of campus, but like it's not that much more expensive up there. But yeah, so I think that's somewhere where we have like kind of scope to like affect change that will kind of help students. And also like the food voucher scheme that like MEDA has been working on and we're trying to finalise at the moment, that's something as well that we can actually like on the ground like help students with. Other kind of cost of living, there's also like making sure that there's like spaces for commuters, that there's areas for them to be, like at the moment like the village is open like 24/7, which is good, and we've also been like trying to get like a greater number of like seating like across the campus kind of for students, so that they can like relax and like hang out with their friends and they don't have to like go into a restaurant and pay money to sit there, and they can just like sit within the buildings and like eat their lunch and relax, and they don't need to go and spend money to like actually like exist on campus. So I think those kind of like small measures are really important, and they've good effects for everything.
Okay. You talk about reaching out to graduate organisations in your manifesto. Have you already made contact with the PWO regarding improvements in pay and working conditions? If so, can you detail what specifically you intend to do to help ease this situation?
Yeah, cool. So yeah, I've been like in contact with the Postgraduate Workers Organisation, and we've had a few meetings kind of to date. We did town hall with them recently enough, maybe a month ago or so now. I don't know. And yeah, we met a lot of like postgraduate workers from UCD, which is good, and like kind of listens to their concerns. But I think the PWO and like postgraduate workers in general, like they're quite an organised community. Like they have a system in place, they have their union now, and I think we need to make sure that like we support them, and like we can, like for example, they have a protest coming up on Thursday, and like we're printing out like materials for them and that. But it's very much their protest, and they know what they need, they know what they want. They just need us to come behind and like bring students and bring people and bring our like resources to them, and like that's how I plan on helping them, because they're a group that's already so organised and so able to do it. They don't need us to come along and be like, oh, I think you should have a protest on this, and I think you should do this, and oh, you should actually be focusing on this. Oh, they're not the right issues you're focusing on. Like it's on our place to come and do that for them. But I definitely think a lot of the issues that they're fighting for are something that we can get not just the postgraduate community on campus fighting with them, but also the undergraduates, because like these people, like the postgraduate workers are your tutors, like they grade your exams, they help, they might even lecture you, like they do a lot there. It's not just a postgraduate issue, it's also an undergraduate issue, because the university is completely propped up by postgraduate workers, so we really do need to come behind and support them, but we also need to know that they're well able to organise by themselves, that we just need to kind of like amplify their voices like in this issue.
Walk me through your proposals to change the university strategy when it comes to the provision of affordable student accommodation. Surely this is a long-term strategy, and any change in its course will not be felt for a substantial length of time.
Yeah, like to be honest, I think this strategy, like we didn't really change the strategy last year, but we now, like because of our digs drive, we worked with UC on their accommodation pad to like increase numbers of like kind of alternative off-campus accommodation for students, and that's something we're like I'm definitely planning to do again like this year, and like we've already been in talks with UCD about kind of how we're going to go about this year, and like formalizing and trying to get our license to reside agreement up on the accommodation pad, and trying to like formalize it more, and trying to like collaborate with UCD on this initiative. Like, we know digs aren't perfect, they're like far from it, but there's something. It's still increased kind of beds for students, and then like apart from that, the long term thing is that we need to make sure we keep fighting fighting with UCD to afford, to make sure that like cost rental accommodation is what they opt for, and that's like on the agenda, and that's what we're asking for, that's what students are asking for. And I think kind of the university kind of understands that better now, because like we did the town hall, kind of they held their like accommodation town hall back in like November, I think, and we've kind of been working with the university now from the findings of that, and like talking through what it is we need, what we'd like to change, and yeah, like I think it is something that we need to like collaborate with them on, but also we need to like lobby the government to like fund HEIs better, and to give greater like funding for the student accommodation on campus, and I know the university is also thinking of maybe like doing like other like off-campus accommodations or double bedrooms, or they're trying to like trial a few different things, but it's something that we're very engaged in, and we're like keeping an eye on to make sure that everything is like up to standard, or as up to standard as like we can ensure. But yeah, it's obviously the housing crisis is a massive thing that's not going to change overnight, but I think we need to look at it from like inside, what we can do within the university, and then what we can do jointly with the university to lobby government, and then also a third thing is what we can do in the housing sector in general in Dublin, and across the country. So like there's a few different areas that we can work on, and we need to do all of them at the same time.
So what specifically did you mean by embedding sustainable goals within the curriculum at programme level?
Yeah, so I was kind of thinking, again, this is something that I doubt will be done by the end of like next year, but it's like I was thinking of something similar to the way like consent is embedded across like curriculums, like at programme levels, that like every student kind of has to do like a short kind of course like on consent, well, like it's opt out, but you know, every student that wants to or like is able to. And I think something similar for like sustainability, like with the sustainable development goals, could be beneficial for students, so that everyone gets like a basic kind of awareness and education in this area, because obviously like it's a climate emergency, it's really important that people know like what can be done. But I also want to make sure that it's not just like, oh, like recycle and like use your keep cups. Like that's important, obviously, like it's important to have those small actions, but like it's not on the individual at the end of the day. Like even if we all did that, the world still collapse. So like I think I also don't want it to be too sanitized, and sometimes I think coming through the university it has the capacity to become very sanitized and very kind of like, oh, just like Green Week, woo, you know, like that sort of thing. Like that's important, but like it needs to be a bit more of a bite to it. But I think some sort of kind of module or element that like every student kind of has to do, similar to the way consent is embedded in, would be very beneficial, and would just give people a level of knowledge, because I think knowledge is what will help to change things. And like we're a university, that's kind of where the power in universities lies, and is they can give people knowledge. And also like we have a lot of experts in the university, we should be like utilizing them, and like across disciplines. It shouldn't be just, oh, you'll know all about it if you're in like some specific stream of science, or like some area of engineering. But yeah.
Okay. And then finally, if elected, what would be your top priority from your manifesto?
I think probably like accommodation and cost of living, because I feel like they're the biggest thing affecting students at the moment, but also it's something that is the most difficult to achieve, and it's not something that's just within like the university campus. It's not a local issue. It is a local issue, but it's also like a national issue as well. But I think that like that is the main, like, accommodation is, like, it's horrific. Like, the stories and the issues that we're facing this year are so unbelievably bad, and it's only going to get worse. So I think that has to be the priority, but there's only so much that the union can do on the issue. But we will, like, it always will be the priority, and always will be something that we'll do the most we can do to try get more spaces for students, and to try actually, like, make university accessible for students. But there's a lot of like the day-to-day runnings of the university are also, like, a massive priority, and to ensure that, like, class reps are engaged, people feel happy with the union, people feel represented, like, there's trust in the union, that, like, elections go well, that we have, like, a lot of students engaging with us on a day-to-day, like, students attending our events, like, all those sort of things. Like, I think that's, the president kind of needs to keep an eye that all of that kind of day-to-day running of the union is going well, while also, like, looking at the other kind of, like, major kind of national student issues. That wasn't one thing, I apologise.
That's grand. Okay, so that's everything. Thank you very much.